When the popular girl found out I could make a mute person talk, she immediately paid me to annoy her brother with autism. I walked to the back of the classroom and gently tapped on the quiet boy's desk. Aren't you going to explain to everyone about how you were licking my feet last night while I was asleep? His eyes widened and cracks appeared in his icy expression. I didn't do that. I confidently turned around and flashed a bright smile at Emma, the most popular girl in school. Pay up. Emma rushed forward, her eyes showing nothing but pure admiration. I thought she was just joking, but she immediately transferred the money without hesitation. Her hands were shaking as she grabbed my arm like I was her last hope. Please help my brother, she begged. She explained that her parents had taken Jake to countless psychologists both in the country and abroad. They all gave the same answer. The best solution is to find someone his age who can help him experience the joys typical for teenagers. But Jake despised anyone getting close to him except family members. At our age, everyone cares about their reputation, so nobody wanted to deal with Jake's difficult personality. For every extra word you get him to say, I'll give you another 1,000, Emma said, clutching my hand like I was her savior. I held her hand thinking I'd just met a living saint. Annoying people? That's my specialty. Throughout my life, teachers considered me the reincarnation of a housefly. In elementary school, my teacher seated me next to a hearing-impaired classmate just to shut me up. Later, I learned sign language and secretly chatted with my desk mate under the table. My hands would move so fast, like ninja hand signs from an anime. My desk mate would get so excited his fingers nearly cramped up. My teacher told my mom I could chat with stray dogs and suggested she take me to a doctor. This job was made for me. I turned to look at Jake, who had only spoken 3 words before lowering his head again, seemingly regretting his instinctive response. He was now facing us with the top of his dark hair. Mike, my childhood friend who was completely ignored, came over persistently. Seeing I'd taken money from Emma, he immediately tried to grab my phone. Rachel, we should be focusing on our studies right now. Stop hanging around with these sketchy people. Emma, whom he had just called a goddess moments ago, turned around with cold eyes, returning to her normal demeanor. Who are you calling sketchy? Mike choked on his words. I shook off his arm, suddenly realizing how Mike always bullied the weak and feared the strong. As Mike tried to say something else, the bell rang, and I bounced back to my seat. That same day, Emma used her money power to make the teacher seat me next to Jake. Teacher, my brother is attending this school specifically to make friends, and Rachel would be perfect for him. The weather is getting hotter. I think our school really needs some air conditioning. The teacher shut up immediately. When I moved next to Jake, he was still pretending to sleep. Mike turned his head from the side to look at me, his eyes burning holes through me. I stared at Jake's neck for an entire class period. He was clearly awake, but wouldn't lift his head just to avoid sitting with me. Interesting. During the second break, I leaned close to his ear and whispered, Jake, did you know your neck is so pale? Like a chicken wing, makes me want to bite it. Maybe I got too close, because Jake jolted up and looked at me in horror. I quickly snapped a photo of his face and sent it to his sister. This doesn't look like autism at all. He's actually quite expressive. That little expression was more animated than mine. But in the following classes, I discovered how difficult Jake could be, no matter what I said. He remained motionless like a wooden statue. By the time the final bell rang, my mouth was dry from talking, but I was still fascinated. No one had ever listened to me talk this much without calling me an idiot. Even if I wasn't getting paid, I'd found a kindred spirit. I watched Jake's pale fingers slowly close his textbook and smirked. We just had English class. Why are you pretending? Jake's fingers froze. He glanced at me before walking toward the door. I grabbed my backpack and hurried after him. His sister had told me their driver would take me home today. Someone yanked my backpack from behind, nearly choking me. I turned to find Mike standing there with a gloomy face. Can't you see he doesn't want to talk to you? Rachel, have some self-respect as a girl. Second time today. The second time he'd humiliated me. Even though I'd had a crush on him for ages, I couldn't tolerate his repeated insults. I lifted my backpack and slammed it into his face. Mike looked at me in shock as my chest heaved with anger. What's your problem? When I try to talk to you, you say I have no self-respect. When I talk to someone else, you still say I have no self-respect. What did you say this morning? That as a girl, I shouldn't tell dirty jokes because it's shameless. I laughed bitterly. I hadn't planned to bring this up. He was the one who used to tell me dirty jokes every day on our way home, laughing hysterically. I thought he was into that. I stayed up all night studying jokes just to get his attention, and I ended up becoming the school's biggest flirt and his personal doormat. If he was this hard to please, I might as well give up on him. I shook off his arm and quickly followed Jake, who was almost out of sight. Jake, why didn't you wait for me? I tilted my head, but of course, he didn't answer. I looked toward the small store nearby. Stay right there. Don't move. To my surprise, he actually stood still. I circled around him once. Wait for me. I'm going to buy something, or I'll tell your sister about how you secretly kissed me. Jake looked up at me. This time, he wasn't as shocked as this morning, but there was still a strange fire dancing in his dark eyes. When I came out of the store with popsicles, I immediately spotted Jake obediently standing by the trash can. I squinted my eyes. I always thought I liked sunny boys like Mike. How could a gloomy, obedient puppy like Jake be so adorable too? As I licked my popsicle, I pondered this question. Finally, I reached a conclusion. It's not about types. I'm just boy crazy in general. I handed Jake a popsicle, but he didn't take it. It fell to the ground with a splat. He continued walking. I picked up the popsicle and quickly caught up, pushing it into his hand again. It fell to the ground again. Now I was getting annoyed. This brat. I ran up to him and pulled open his collar. Jake finally lost his composure, covering his collar and stepping back, looking at me in astonishment. I grinned and offered the popsicle again. This time he took it. We walked side by side, but Jake just held the popsicle without eating it. So I leaned over and whispered, "No need to be shy. I didn't notice your nipples are pink." Jake broke the popsicle in half and stuffed it in his mouth, quickening his pace. See, when people feel awkward, they always pretend to be busy. If there's water, they drink. If there's a popsicle, they lick it. I watched Jake slowly licking his popsicle and chuckled. "Jake, did you know popsicles can cool you down? Like when it's hot, you can stick it in your..." Jake stopped eating. His mouth was red from the cold popsicle as he stared at me silently. Looks like he really had no defense against me now. I felt a bit embarrassed, realizing that topic was probably too gross. I was about to change the subject when Jake spoke his second sentence of the day. "Pig." I was stunned, then ecstatic.